The gunman in the mass shooting in New York that claimed 4 lives, including an NYPD officer.
He was found with a suicide note accusing the NFL of downplaying the health risks of football, indicating he believed he suffered from chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
He blamed the NFL for destroying his life and then stormed their headquarters with a rifle. Why would someone drive across the country to storm the NFL headquarters and blame it all on a brain disease most people have never even heard of? It started like any other Monday in Manhattan, with bustling offices, packed elevators, and people focused on their routines. But just after 6:30 p.m., the heart of Midtown became a scene of chaos. A black BMW pulled up between 51st and 52nd Streets, double parked on Park Avenue. Out stepped 27-year-old Shane Tamura, armed with an AR-style rifle and carrying a note that would later send shockwaves through the NFL and beyond. Within minutes, 4 people were dead, another wounded, and the NFL's league offices were in lockdown. Investigators now believe Tamura was trying to reach the NFL's executive floor, but took the wrong elevator. Security footage shows him moving with chilling precision, firing at people in the lobby, then heading upstairs to continue the carnage before taking his own life. Tamura wasn't a stranger to the game. Years earlier, he was a standout running back in Southern California high school football, known for his speed and fearlessness despite his small frame. He played for both Golden Valley High and Granada Hills Charter. Former teammates described him as electrifying on the field and almost invisible off it. A soft-spoken, polite teen who didn't make waves, but what they couldn't see was the storm building inside. After high school, Tamura never played college ball. Instead, he took a quiet job working overnight security shifts in Las Vegas. Friends lost touch. By the time he resurfaced on national headlines, he was unrecognizable. Inside Tamura's wallet, investigators found a handwritten letter, 3 pages of desperation, rage, and confusion. In it, Tamura begged officials to examine his brain. "Please study my brain for CTE," he wrote, referencing chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a brain disease caused by repeated head injuries. He accused the NFL of knowingly concealing the risks of the game, saying, "They failed us." His note made specific reference to Terry Long, the former Steelers lineman who died by suicide after years of battling the effects of CTE. The tone was erratic but deeply emotional. For Tamura, this wasn't just about pain, it was about betrayal. But there's a complicated truth behind those claims. CTE is a degenerative brain condition linked to repeated hits to the head, commonly seen in football players. Its symptoms include depression, aggression, memory loss, and impaired judgment, but it can only be confirmed after death through an autopsy of the brain. Experts have found it in both professional and amateur athletes, including some who only played in high school. However, Tamura's medical history shows a pattern of mental illness. Police discovered he was prescribed medications for depression, epilepsy, and other neurological issues. No one close to him recalled any serious football injuries. The tragedy lies in not knowing, was it CTE, mental illness, or both? The human toll from Tamura's rampage was devastating. Among the victims was Didarul Islam, a 36-year-old off-duty NYPD officer, father of 2, with a 3rd child on the way. He was the first person shot as he tried to protect others in the building's lobby. A woman hiding behind a pillar was shot next. Security guard Alan Etienne, Blackstone executive Wesley LePatner, and building manager Julia Hyman were also killed. NFL employee Craig Clementi, who works in the finance department, was critically injured but survived. In the aftermath, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell called Islam a hero and promised full support for all affected families. The league shut its headquarters for the week and hosted a virtual town hall to help employees process the trauma. The psychological impact on surviving staff and witnesses is expected to last far longer. Mental health counselors have been brought in and support lines have been established. It's a stark reminder that even massive institutions like the NFL are not immune to personal tragedies. But public trust wasn't so easily repaired. The attack reignited questions about the NFL's role in the mental health crisis surrounding football. Over the last decade, the league has settled lawsuits from thousands of former players who accuse the NFL of hiding the dangers of brain trauma. While Tamura never played professionally, his suicide note echoed those same grievances. The idea that the league valued profits over player safety has long haunted its legacy. And though recent rule changes have tried to reduce concussions, the deeper question remains, is it enough? The NFL has implemented concussion protocols, advanced helmet technology, and stricter return-to-play policies. But critics argue these measures came too late and still fall short. Those who knew Tamura are still struggling to understand what happened. Former teammates described him as goofy, kind, even shy. One recalled how he was given an old helmet nicknamed the concussion bucket, a joke at the time, but one that now feels tragically ironic. Another remembered his post-game interviews as upbeat and humble, like after a comeback win where he scored 2 touchdowns. Nothing in those memories hinted at violence. And yet, somewhere between then and now, something broke. The disconnect between who he was and what he became haunts everyone who ever knew him. In the aftermath, as the NFL tightens security and employees mourn, bigger questions hang in the air. Can mental health warnings in athletes be spotted earlier? Are we doing enough to protect young players before symptoms spiral out of control? And what happens when the system fails someone long before they ever reach the spotlight? The building at 345 Park Avenue will recover. But the wounds, emotional, institutional, and cultural, won't heal so quickly. The tragedy has already sparked debates across sports networks and mental health circles, prompting calls for a nationwide discussion on brain trauma in youth sports. Think about the cost of ignoring mental health, about the thousands of young athletes chasing glory without knowing the risks that might follow them for life. The NFL has promised resilience and unity, but in a world still grappling with trauma and truth, words alone won't be enough.
I don't think that's not my place, to answer, to even be able to give the answer to that.
Cleveland just got turned upside down. Shedeur Sanders stepped onto that practice field Monday running with the second-team offense, and what happened next has everybody talking. Sanders uncorked a gorgeous touchdown bomb to rookie receiver Gage Larvadain during 11-on-11 drills. Corner Cameron Mitchell was in coverage, but it didn't matter one bit. The ball placement was surgical. Only Larvadain could reach it, and he hauled it in for 6 points that had the entire practice facility shocked. But here's what makes this crazy. Sanders did this while running behind Joe Flacco and Dillon Gabriel in the depth chart. Kenny Pickett missed Monday's session with a hamstring injury, making Sanders the third quarterback in the rotation, third string, limited reps, maximum impact. The film breakdown shows everything you need to know about Sanders' development. He stepped up in the pocket under pressure, set his feet properly, and delivered a frozen rope that split the defense. This wasn't some lucky heave. This was precision quarterbacking from a 5th-round pick who's supposed to be fighting just to make the roster. Jerry Jeudy dropped some major intel after the 4th training camp practice. When asked about the quarterback competition, Jeudy said he's seen them guys getting better each day, and they're working towards their goals, working hard, and doing what they're supposed to do on the field and off the field to be better than it was the day before. But Judy's body language told a different story. The Pro Bowl receiver has caught passes from all 4 quarterbacks during individual drills, but in team situations, he's only connected with 3 of them. Sanders is the only quarterback who hasn't thrown to Jeudy during first-team reps. That's about to change. The rep distribution reveals everything about Cleveland's internal evaluation. Through 4 practices, Dillon Gabriel leads with 12 team series. Joe Flacco has 9. Kenny Pickett managed 7 before his hamstring injury. Sanders sits at the bottom with limited opportunities, but he's maximizing every single one. Training camp statistics show Sanders going perfect 4 for 4 on one practice day. Another session had him at 5 for 8, while Gabriel went 4 for 8, Flacco 4 for 11, and Pickett 2 for 6. Sanders threw the only touchdown pass despite getting the fewest reps. Higher completion percentage than everyone else with minimal chances. Myles Garrett's involvement changes everything. After Friday's practice, Sanders stayed on the field working with center Brady Latham to fix some bad snap exchanges. Then Cleveland's $160 million franchise cornerstone walked over and started helping. Their all-pro pass rusher invested extra time after practice to support the rookie quarterback. Garrett's actions speak louder than any depth chart. This is the same player who demanded a trade in February because Cleveland was a non-contender. The same guy who got his massive extension in March with one clear message: I expect to get to the Super Bowl. When your franchise defensive star voluntarily helps the fifth-round quarterback, that sends shockwaves through the organization. GM Andrew Berry and head coach Kevin Stefanski were spotted closely observing Sanders during his latest training session reps. This wasn't casual watching. Both executives were locked in on every move, every throw, every decision Sanders made. That's the attention you only get when you're separating yourself from the pack. Offensive coordinator Tommy Rees was seen watching Sanders closely from the sideline during Monday's practice. Sanders isn't going through the motions. He's capitalizing on every rep, showcasing precision, vision, and playmaking ability that's leaving seasoned professionals impressed. The organizational context adds urgency to Sanders' situation. Cleveland's offense ranked 30th in scoring last season at 17.1 points per game. Their defense posted an elite 82.2 PFF grade, but the offense managed just 62.1, dead last in the league. Garrett can't carry that garbage again. Kenny Pickett's hamstring injury opens the door wider for Sanders and Gabriel to make statements. Pickett's $2.6 million guaranteed contract provided job security, but injuries change everything. Sanders has no better time to prove himself than right now. The timeline creates natural pressure. Cleveland's quarterback uncertainty won't exist in 2026 when elite prospects like Arch Manning enter the draft. If Sanders fails to capitalize on this opportunity, his NFL window could close quickly. The CFL's Toronto team holds his rights as a fallback option. Judy's assessment of the quarterback room reveals growing confidence in the group. There's more than enough time, Judy said about solving the quarterback question. This is only day 4, but we got 30 to 40 days left to the real season. The Pro Bowl receiver is putting the responsibility on himself to make the job easier for the quarterback by getting open and creating separation. Sanders' mental approach separates him from typical fifth-round picks. In recent interviews, he emphasized having a deeper level of understanding because he knows whenever I get my opportunity, I got to maximize it. His mindset shift focuses on maximizing every rep and preparing mentally for his moment. The respect from veterans continues building. Sanders was seen grinding with Myles Garrett after practice, building chemistry with Cleveland's defensive anchor. This wasn't just extra work. It was relationship building with a top-tier player who's become Sanders' biggest supporter in the locker room. Jerry Jeudy's endorsement carries serious weight. The receiver who set a franchise single-season record with 91 receptions and posted his first 1,000-yard season with 1,229 yards knows what it takes to succeed in Cleveland. When Jeudy talks about quarterbacks getting better each day, Sanders is included in that evaluation. Monday's touchdown bomb to Gage Larvadain represents more than one good throw. It's Sanders proving he can deliver under pressure while running with the second team. The ball placement was textbook, threading between coverage and landing perfectly in the receiver's hands. Kevin Stefanski maintains there's no established pecking order, but actions contradict words. The head coach's increased attention on Sanders during practice sessions suggests internal evaluation is shifting. Stefanski's unmistakable look of satisfaction while watching Sanders indicates growing confidence in the rookie's development. Cleveland's receiver corps needs reliable quarterback play. Deontay Johnson headlines a group that includes rookie Quinton Judkins, creating opportunities for a quarterback who can distribute the ball effectively. Sanders' precision on intermediate routes fits Stefanski's offensive philosophy. The Browns' 2025 season hinges on offensive improvement. Garrett's championship expectations require scoring production that last year's unit couldn't provide. Sanders represents the unknown variable that could unlock Cleveland's potential or sink their playoff hopes. Training camp injuries are accumulating, but Sanders remains healthy and ready. His durability through the rigorous practice schedule demonstrates the physical conditioning necessary for NFL success. Every day he stays on the field is another opportunity to climb the depth chart. Tommy Rees keeps an open mind about all 4 quarterbacks taking the starting position, but financial considerations favor certain players. Flacco's expiring contract and Pickett's modest salary create roster flexibility, but performance trumps economics when playoff hopes are on the line. The evidence is mounting. Myles Garrett's after-practice support, Jerry Jeudy's positive assessment, Monday's touchdown bomb with the second team, coaching staff attention during practice sessions. Sanders isn't just surviving Cleveland's quarterback competition, he's positioning himself to win it. This is the moment that separates pretenders from contenders. Sanders has 30 to 40 days until the regular season opener against Cincinnati. Every practice matters. Every rep counts. Every touchdown throw, like Monday's bomb, moves him closer to the starting job. Cleveland's championship window opens and closes with quarterback play. Sanders might be the key that unlocks everything. What's happening in Cleveland right now is absolutely wild. Myles Garrett just dropped a $160 million ultimatum on this entire organization. The dude demanded a trade in February because Cleveland was a non-contender. Then boom, March rolls around and he gets his bag. $160 million extension, $40 million per year. That makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in the entire NFL. But here's where it gets crazy. Garrett's training camp declaration was crystal clear. I expect to get to the Super Bowl. That's not just motivation, that's a warning shot to every single person in that locker room. And guess who just got thrown into this pressure cooker? 5th-round pick Shedeur Sanders. The numbers tell the whole story. Cleveland's defense, PFF grade of 82.2. That's elite level, straight up. But their offense, 62.1 PFF grade. That's the worst in the league. Dead last. These guys scored 17.1 points per game last season, 30th in the NFL. The defense can't carry that garbage again. Sanders isn't just fighting for playing time anymore, he's fighting for his NFL life. 4th-string quarterback behind Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, and Dylan Gabriel. Cleveland rarely carries 4 quarterbacks on their roster. If Sanders doesn't outperform Pickett's $2.6 million guaranteed contract, he's getting cut. Simple as that. But here's where things get interesting. Myles Garrett, the franchise cornerstone, the guy who just got paid more than anybody else on that defense, he's out there after practice helping Shedeur Sanders. Not Kevin Stefanski. Not Andrew Berry. Myles Garrett. After throwing out the first pitch at a Texas Rangers game, Garrett told reporters exactly what he thinks about Sanders. He said,
I think everyone was surprised to see him go to the 5th round, but he's come to camp and OTAs with a great attitude. He's a hardworking guy. He has a good head on his shoulders, and he's always positive, always optimistic, always keeps a smile on his face, and you like going to work with people who have that kind of attitude.
That's not some throwaway comment. That's the highest paid defensive player in the league, co-signing a 5th-round rookie who most people thought would struggle to make the roster. Sanders went from projected 1st-round pick to 144th overall. After winning Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year honors at Colorado, scouts watched him fall down draft boards. When he finally got to Cleveland, they told him making the 53-man roster would be the greatest accomplishment of his life. Robert Griffin III offered a grim forecast for Sanders' NFL future. But Denzel Ward sees something different. Chad Johnson accidentally spilled the tea on Nightcap with Shannon Sharp. He said,
I talked to Denzel Ward.
Yep.
I talked to some, but I can't say the name. But anyway, I done talked to some people. He looked different. There's a difference when that young bull is out there spinning that ball. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Difference. I'm talking about football. I ain't talking about no media and all that hoopla and all them, on Twitter, they putting up the numbers. Some he would 10 for 12 for 2 touchdowns. I'm talking about when he's at the helm, he looks different. Whether he's going with the 1st team, 2nd team, or 3rd team. It don't matter. I understand getting drafted in the 5th round. All that means nothing when it's time to play football and that whistle blows. He looks different than the rest of the competition. That's what I heard.
Ward's assessment carries weight. Pro Bowl cornerback who goes against these quarterbacks every single day in practice. When he says Sanders looks different, that means something. The rep distribution tells its own story. Joe Flacco starts with the 1st team, Kenny Pickett gets the 2s, then Flacco with the 1s again, Pickett with the 2s again. Gabriel gets some 1st team work. Sanders, he's running with the 3s. Limited opportunities, but he's maximizing every single one. Training camp statistics show Sanders going perfect 4 for 4 on one day. Another practice session had Sanders at 5 for 8, while Gabriel went 4 for 8, Flacco 4 for 11, and Pickett 2 for 6. Sanders threw the only touchdown pass despite getting the fewest reps, higher completion percentage than everyone else with limited opportunities. The film breakdown reveals why Garrett and Ward are taking notice. Sanders demonstrated proper progression reads where Kenny Pickett, a fifth-year veteran, was staring down tight ends and throwing interceptions. Sanders showed he could step up in the pocket under internal pressure. He executed a backside dig route at the third level,